Hey, what's up, everybody, man? So, as we go into a new season, just like any other season, there's always quarterbacks that are on the hot seat. So, I want to come here and let y'all know a few quarterbacks that I personally believe are on the hot seat. Starting with number one, Sam Darnold. This may be confusing to some, but the real ones know how this shit go. You feel me? Yeah, Sam Darnold had a good year last year. He went out there to do for 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, had 102 QBR. You feel me? Like, he looked good statistically, you know? But in reality, that was his only good season in the league. And it took him 7 years to have a good season. That's fucked up. It took him 7 years to have a good season. So, I get it. Sometimes there's quarterbacks that take this long to have success in the league. Look at Geno Smith. It took him a long time to have success in the league. Now he going on like his third or fourth year starting. Not saying this can't be Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold has no room for error. The only way for Sam Darnold is up. If he is any worse, or shall I say, if he declines at all, it's over with for him. Because teams know he is not a proven quarterback in the league. This is not somebody you can really trust, even though he just came off a good season. So yeah, you look at the Seahawks, they got rid of Geno Smith, they needed a quarterback. Yeah, they brought in Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, they gave him a 3-year, $100 million contract. Cool, but guess what? Only $37 million is guaranteed, and you already got that upon signing. So they set themselves up to where, okay, we're going to bring Sam Darnold in, and if he get to be on that weird shit, we're going to get him up through. And they don't even got to pay on the rest of the bread. These teams are smart. They know what's up. The Giants did the same thing with Daniel Jones, even though obviously they should have re-signed Saquon Barkley, but they did the same thing with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones got all that money, but only a decent amount of it was fully guaranteed. He had a shitty season. They got him up through, save the bread. So Sam Darnold, this is a make it or break it season for him, considering he's only had one good year. And for the people that's still stuck on this good year, come on, look, there's been quarterbacks that had good stretches, good year, one good year, and then they stink them next year and then they gone. So Sam Darnold's no different. So if Sam Darnold, like I said, if he declines at all, he's out of there. They not about to play around with Sam Darnold, and it's crazy because Sam Darnold actually is talented, you know? No coach has said he wasn't talented. Sam Darnold is just a very inconsistent player. Plain and simple. He does good shit, but then he turn around and do some bad shit. So last year he just did less of bad shit and more good shit. So he's on a new team now, new system, new everything. So this is really gonna be the real test for Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold, we gonna see what's up, man. Next, at number 2, we got Justin Fields. So here's the thing about Justin Fields. I was never a fan of Justin Fields coming out of O State, simply because I always thought that quarterbacks that come out of O State were trash. They never make the transition to the league. CJ Stroud is the only quarterback to come out of O State and actually make the transition to the league. And CJ Stroud's a dog. CJ Stroud made me more open to quarterbacks that are coming out of O State. But to pivot back to Justin Fields, Justin Fields got drafted by the Bears, and he just did not do anything to take a demand over the franchise quarterback position. He didn't give that franchise any confidence that he could be the man one day. So, considering that Justin Fields was a part of the reason why they landed the number 1 overall pick, when they seen Caleb Williams out there, a quote-unquote generational talent quarterback, allegedly, they decided to move on from Justin Fields and take Caleb Williams instead. Which means Justin Fields on the market, he ended up going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he ended up battling with Russell Wilson, and of course, Russell Wilson beat him out for the job. But fortunately enough for Justin Fields, Russell Wilson had to miss the first 6 games due to injury. So Justin Fields got to go out there for the first 6 games and actually play. And he only threw for 5 touchdowns and 1 interception. So the 5 touchdowns, 1 interception is, good ratio. But I feel like as a starting quarterback, if you're really the real deal, you're going to throw more than 5 touchdowns over 6 games. I'm just being 100. You're averaging literally one touchdown a game. I'm not impressed by that. And you look at his numbers as far as passing yards. I mean, the dude only threw for 200 plus yards twice. All the other games he threw for 100-something yards. That's game manager numbers. Yes, I get it. He did some things with his legs, and he got some touchdowns with his legs. But quarterback is a throwing position at the end of the day. Yes, you have quarterbacks like Lamar, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, all those dudes that are mobile and can do shit with their feet. But overall, what matters the most is what you're doing with the rock as far as throwing the ball over the field. And Justin Fields just did not do enough during those 6 games to really, take the job. So, of course, when Russell Wilson came back from injury, he retained the starting position over Justin Fields. That's just what it was. So, Justin Fields in position now where for what reason he didn't go back to the Steelers, decided to go to the Jets on a 2-year, $40 million deal, $30 million guarantee, which is a very friendly deal for the Jets, by the way. He's in a perfect position. He's not battling with anybody, number one. This is your job. Plain and simple, they gave you the keys. So you got all offseason to work, develop chemistry with the players, receivers. You also have your old college receiver, Garrett Wilson, out there. You have Breece Hall in the backfield. You got some decent pieces on the line. You got some decent pieces on defense. You're in a decent position. So you're either going to go out there and show everybody that you are a franchise quarterback in this league, or you're going to find yourself in another position to where you're battling for the starting job or somebody taking your shit. So Justin Fields, hey, this is it. You really got to show who you are at this point. Next, at number 3, we got a combo here of Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. So Anthony Richardson, I thought Anthony Richardson was going to be one of the next big things to hit the league. I was a big fan. He was just a dog at Florida. He had a cannon. He was making all the throws, put up good numbers, and he was very mobile, and he just had aura. He was a likable guy. So, he came to the league, straight up won a job, had no competition anyway for the starting job, but straight up took the job. And, he got off to a decent start. He showed some promise, but he also did a lot of shit really with his legs, which you would like to see more of throwing from quarterbacks. So he ended up, getting a season-ending injury only a few games to his rookie season, and I really think that really hurt him. I think that really did, because when he came back from his injury, he really didn't show too much of shit that people like, not saying he just bottom of the barrel ass, but he's not doing good. Anytime you're going out there and you're going back and forth off the bench between Joe Flacco and you, that's not a good sign. And the thing about it is, what really makes it even worse, Joe Flacco at 40 years old, I get it, Joe Flacco was a guy that won a Super Bowl and shit like that. He has a lot of experience in the league, so he should be doing better than Anthony Richardson. But when you guys are using the same players and Joe Flacco's coming in and making them look 10 times better than you, it doesn't matter what people think about the talent that he has around him. If Joe Flacco could do this much with it, you should be able to do at least half as much, or at least fuck half, 75%. So the fact that he's not able to do that, it really is a bad look on him, So I'm going to just be 100. If he loses the job to Daniel Jones, he has. Because Daniel Jones is not good himself. Daniel Jones, they both in the same boat. They both are trying to get a starting job and establish himself in this league. Daniel Jones, he's just been in the league longer, but Daniel Jones is very inconsistent. He have a few bad years, but he's only had 2 good years worth even talking about in the league. So I ain't even gonna continue to make this video harder than it had, or shall I say, this topic of these 2 quarterbacks harder than it is. Either one of these guys are going to take the job, or they both are going to be journeyman / backups. That's just what it is. Anthony Richardson's still relatively younger, than most quarterbacks, so I could see him battling with somebody else somewhere else. But Jones, this is like his 3rd team. We've seen what you did in New York. If you out here going back and forth off the bench with Anthony Richardson and shit, you're clearly a career backup. So both of these guys are in a situation where you're going to either go take this job or you're a backup for the rest of your career. So, yeah. So, they both on a hot seat, for real. Next, this one going to be even more interesting. We got whoever wins the Cleveland Browns job. Yes, I said whoever wins the Cleveland Browns job. And the reason why I say that is simple. We don't even got to get into all the quarterbacks because y'all already know Kenny Pickett and Shedeur Sanders are rookies. And we know that Kenny Pickett is a quarterback that's been in the league going until his fourth season, I believe. Yeah, fourth season. He's been a starter with Pittsburgh, and he clearly has a fresh start to be a starter once again. And Joe Flacco, he's already on his way out the league soon. Nothing against him, but, he's old. Nobody really cares about him being on a hot seat or not. He's not one of those guys. And you got Deshaun Watson in the cut, who might start practicing in October. So, the reason why I say all these quarterbacks despite Joe Flacco is simply because the Browns are expected to have a bad season. So the Browns have a bad season and none of these guys step up and prove themselves as the franchise guy. They're going to use that top pick and pick somebody like Arch Manning or the dude from Penn State, whatever top quarterbacks out there. They're going to just use another pick. I don't think any of these quarterbacks, unless they take command over the starting job, are, good enough investments or high enough investments for the Browns to even want to keep these dudes. Also, you got to remember, if the Browns play bad, they're going to fire the staff and they're going to bring in a new guy. He might not even want the quarterbacks on the team. He might really want to draft his own guy. So whoever wins the starting job for the Browns or any of these dudes, really, they all on the hot seat. Plain and simple. And then last but not least, we got Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's not a bad quarterback. I just want to set the record straight. Dak is not trash. The thing with Dak, it's the same shit every year. People also expect the Cowboys to have a bad year. But like I said, it's the same shit over and over. Dak goes out there, he throws for 40 touchdowns, under 10 interceptions. They get to the playoffs, lose first round. It's the same shit, and people are critical of Dak in the playoffs, and people are critical of Dak in big games. So I can potentially see the Cowboys making a decision to trade him. I could see them trading Dak Prescott after this year. They already flirted with potentially moving on from Dak. Even though they did just give him that extension last year. Well, yeah, last year before the season started. They flirted with potentially replacing Dak numerous times when they brought in Trey Lance. They brought in Joe Milton. They just traded for Joe Milton, actually. You feel me? And Joe Milton is allegedly not a scrub. He's somebody that people think is very talented and could potentially start given the right opportunity. So, I'm not saying that Joe Milton is a replacement for Dak, but I do think if the Cowboys have a bad season or they have one of those seasons where they're good and don't do shit in the offs, I can see Dak being traded. I really can. But this is like one of the long shot hot seats. But the other ones are for sure hot seats, So, yeah, those are my quarterbacks that I believe are on a hot seat. Let me know some other quarterbacks that you believe are on a hot seat. There's a few honorable mentions out there, but I think these guys are the ones that are for sure on the hot seat. But yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe, and I got more content coming soon.